Coming up on the Paper Talk today, it's all about the breaking news. David Ornstein has broken the news that Manchester United have reached an agreement with Michael Carrick for him to be the caretaker manager until the end of the season. Let's get into it. Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're outside Old Trafford and it's a bit nippy, so you might need your parkers. The breaking news is that Manchester United have reached an agreement in principle to appoint Michael Carrick as interim head coach until the end of the season. This is broken by David Ornstein, the top of the tier oneers, Mr. Ornstein himself in The Athletic this morning with that breaking news that Manchester United have reached an agreement to appoint Michael Carrick as head coach until the end of the season. Now, we knew this was coming. Stephen Howson, of all people, told us it was coming a couple of days ago, but everyone else was covering it. Everyone else was saying that, look, it is going to be Michael Carrick, not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as was first thought. It looked like it was going to be Ole, that the club were going to go back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who obviously came in a few years ago, was caretaker and then permanent manager, but it seems as though Michael Carrick was the preferred candidate by the likes of Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada, and that is of course come to fruition because David Ornstein, as reliable as you can get, breaking the story that Michael Carrick is going to be in charge of Manchester United. Got a little bit more detail here, which I'll get into. Make sure you're getting involved in the chat and the comments. I've said this a few times myself that I like the idea of Michael Carrick coming back. I get it. I get the idea. I understood the point that you needed someone immediately if you were going to sack Ruben Amorim after the press conference, after the Leeds game. It seemed like that had become untenable. So bringing in Darren Fletcher for a couple of games made sense because Darren Fletcher's already at the club, knows the club, can come in just for those 2 games against Brighton and Burnley as well, but then you need someone who can take it to the end of the season, and Michael Carrick seems like the ideal person for that. Done the job before for a few games, did well for those few games, well respected, knows the club, all that jazz. We'll get into it anyway, but yeah, it's a move that makes a lot of sense to me. And also, I just like the way he looks in the dugout. He just looks like a Manchester United manager. I know that's not the best reason to appoint someone, but it's just how I feel. Says here, the deal, which includes the former midfielders' proposed staff, is subject to finalising contract details with an announcement expected soon. Should everything progress as planned, Carrick's first game in charge would be against rivals Manchester City on Saturday at Old Trafford. The Athletic reported on Monday that Carrick had moved into pole position for the role after he and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer held face-to-face talks with club executives. The process of appointing an interim coach has been led by Director of Football Jason Wilcox and Chief Executive Omar Barada. Sign-off was required by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazer family, and attentions will now turn to bringing in a permanent successor to Amorim. Now the caretaker role is finalised. It goes into some details about Michael Carrick, about how he did at Middlesbrough, about how he did Manchester United previously. There's sort of some misconceptions about his time at Middlesbrough, like it was a complete disaster. It wasn't. It says here, Carrick was appointed as Championship side at Middlesbrough in October 2022, guiding them from 21st when he took over to 4th by the end of the season. They lost to Coventry City in the playoff semi-finals. Middlesbrough finished 8th in the 23-24 season, with Carrick awarded a 3-year contract at the end of that season, before coming 10th in 24-25 with the Englishman sacked at the end of the campaign. So it wasn't a great success at Middlesbrough. It wasn't a terrible time there either. He took him from 21st to 4th at one point. Obviously didn't work out the way he wanted, but there were some good points as well. And when he was at Manchester United, I know it was only 3 games, it's not the biggest sample size, but he did very well in those 3 games. We went to Stamford Bridge and got a draw, a ground that had been a difficult place for us to go to over the years. We also beat Villarreal in the Champions League to get through to the next stage of the Champions League, and we beat Arsenal here, I think it was 3-2, to get ourselves in the top 4. So he left the club and the team in a very good footing when he left Manchester United, and he left on his own accord. He's one of the few managers that did that, sort of left with a statement that summed up his feelings and how it was an honour to have managed the club and all the rest of it, and everyone sort of wished him well. He'd done a very good job in that short space of time. Ralph Rangnick came in and the rest of the season was a bit of a disaster. So Michael Carrick coming back to Manchester United is something that makes a lot of sense as a player as well. I know it shouldn't always be about what you did as a player, because some of the best players I've ever seen here haven't quite worked out as manager, but just if we're going to talk about Michael Carrick as a player, we should talk about the fact he's one of the best players we've had here over the years. He's an absolutely superb midfielder, won a load of titles, won the Champions League, basically won every trophy you can win at club level. I think he's one of only 2 players, him and Wayne Rooney, the only ones that have done that, and was a highly regarded midfielder, and many people say he's underrated. I think he's not underrated anymore. I think Michael Carrick has been getting his flowers since he retired. I think people have actually realised, especially when you look at some of the midfielders we've had post-Michael Carrick, you could argue we've never actually replaced him, that he's not underrated anymore. He is one of the best English midfielders you've ever seen, and it's an absolute travesty he didn't get more England caps. So him coming in, yep, ticks all them boxes, makes a lot of sense. He's got a bit of a baptism of fire, hasn't he? The Manchester derby against the City side that, whilst they've not been completely flying this season, have been pretty impressive and have had some big results. And you would fancy them to be there or thereabouts in a title race at the end of the season, and they're still in the mix now. So it isn't going to be easy. Let's not kid ourselves. Our record against City over the last few years has been patchy, if I'm being kind. We've had some good results, and we've had some bad ones as well. So he's got to hit the ground running there. He's going to have a tough test as well. And if you look at what's on the horizon, we've also got a trip to Arsenal too. So talk about coming in at the right time. I mean, you're coming in with 2 of the biggest games and the toughest games you can imagine over the next few weeks. But look, if you're going to manage Manchester United, you're going to have to go up against the best teams and the biggest teams, and they don't get much bigger in terms of the rivalry than Manchester City. So Michael Carrick coming in as caretaker till the end of the season, bringing in his own backroom staff as well. There was a lot of talk that he wanted to bring Jonathan Woodgate, a coach that he knows from his Middlesbrough days. Now, some people were saying more Leeds United alumni, because obviously Jason Wilcox is from Leeds as well. I was joking about it as well the other day. But look, Eric Cantona played for Leeds, Dennis Irwin played for Leeds, Rio Ferdinand played for Leeds. It doesn't matter if someone's been at Leeds. If he's the guy he wants and he's the man that's going to help Michael Carrick get success at this club this season, then fair play to him. Look, I know it's been difficult, and I know we've not been great, and I know you can write off the season and you say, look, the season's done, we're out of both cup competitions and we're miles away from where we should be, but we can still get Champions League football. That's not out of the question. We're still within touching distance of those Champions League spots, and Michael Carrick is someone who will come in, and you know the ambitions of the man, you know the sort of the attitude he's got. He'll want to achieve that. He'll want to leave this club at the end of the season having got us Champions League football, and it's possible. Yes, we've struggled this season. Yes, we've had a lot of underwhelming results, but we've also got a lot of good players, and I will die on that hill. And we've got a lot of good players who are coming back into this squad. You look at the likes of Brian Mbeumo, you look at the likes of Amad Diallo, they're coming back from AFCON. You've got 1 or 2 other players who've been injured as well, who've now been coming back into the team. I know they've already been back into the team, to be honest with you, but we're still waiting for the likes of Matthijs de Ligt, Harry Maguire to come back in as well. Nouzair Mazraoui, once Morocco finished in the AFCON, will come back into this squad too. So there's options there, and there's every reason to think that when you look at the way this league has been this season, when you look at the players that Manchester United have got at their disposal, and you look at someone like Michael Carrick, who you know can do a decent job, there's every reason to think United can be there or thereabouts in those Champions League spots. Plus, don't forget, 5th place could be a Champions League spot this season. You look at how the coefficient could pan out, depending on how the English teams do in Europe, then they used to say that 5th place doesn't get you Champions League football. Is that beyond the realms of possibility for Manchester United this season? Can we not get 5th place? I think we can. It's going to be difficult, and I'm not going to pretend that United have been flying, because we haven't, and it's going to be hard for Michael Carrick to turn this around, but there's every reason to think and hope that he can do. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think about Michael Carrick coming in. We kind of knew it anyway. It makes a lot of sense. There's no surprises here. For the last couple of days, it's all been about Michael Carrick, and now David Ornstein has confirmed that is what's going to happen. An agreement has been reached in principle. Michael Carrick coming back to Old Trafford as manager till the end of the season. It doesn't look like, no matter what he does, he's going to be given the job permanently. It looks as though it's just going to be to the end of the season, regardless of whether he gets Champions League football, and then the club will appoint a permanent successor. But I, for one, am chuffed to see Michael Carrick. It's Carrick, you know. Let's see what he can do. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Check out some of the merchandise as well. We've got a link in the description. I've been Jay Motti outside a very cold Old Trafford with the breaking news: Michael Carrick set to be the new Manchester United manager. Thanks for watching.